Shalom Havarim. It's me, the Rabina, Alicia, and we're here for another. Oh, wow, I'm hearing. Why am I hearing echoes? I'm hearing. So we are going to be studying Torah tonight, and we're opening a new book, which is Bamidbar, and that's also known as Numbers. And Bamidbar actually means on the mountain. So we will be on the mountain, spiritually anyway. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to get rid of a few things, do a little housekeeping here um, so that I don't have any echo. Hopefully, I've gotten rid of the echoes. Oh, we still I have to close everything that's got YouTube on it. So hopefully um, the echoes will go bye-bye along with that. Okay, so let's see. We'll try this. Okay, check, check, check. And all right, I don't hear an echo. Awesome. Okay, well, let me bring on Brother Kifa and Brother Yochanan, and we're going to begin with a word of prayer before we begin the reading. Brother Kifa, would you open with prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, we love your word. We love how you instruct us. And Father, guide us tonight to greater understanding of your word. In your name, B'Shem Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so tonight, like I was mentioning before, we're going to be getting into a new book, Bamidbar, Numbers, and we're going to start with Numbers chapter 1, verse 1. And I hope I hope to have a voice by the end of the evening with all the reading. Okay, here we go. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, saying, "Take a census of all the congregation of the children of Israel by their clans, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, every male, head by head, from 20 years old and above, everyone going out to the army in Israel. Number them by their divisions, you and Aharon. And a man from every tribe should be with you, each one the head of his father's house. And these are the names of the men who stand with you. From Reuven, Elitzur, son of Shedeur. From Shimon, Shelumiel, son of Surishadai. From Yehuda, Nachshon, son of Aminadab. From Issachar, Nathaniel, son of Tzuar. From Zvulun, Eliav, son of Chelon. From the sons of Yosef, from Ephraim, Elishama, son of Amihud. From Menashe, Gamliel, son of Pedatsur. From Binyamin, Abidan, son of Ginoni. From Dan, Achizer, son of Amishadai. From Asher, Pagiel, son of Okran. From Gad, Eliasaph, son of Deuel. From Naphtali, Ahira, son of Enan. These are the ones called from the congregation, leaders of their fathers' tribes, heads of the thousands of Israel. Okay, so we've gotten into all the names, and I kind of spared most of you from reading reading the names, but the names are important because, first of all, they're naming the leaders of each of the tribes, and also the war chiefs are named, which would be the eldest son of each of the leaders of the tribes. And of course, they are, Yahweh speaks to Moshe, and they're in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of meeting. So this is where the priests and Moshe himself would meet with Yahweh in the tent of meeting. And they're going to take a census. So here's all the names. Okay. Oops. Let's see. There we go. So we're going to start at verse 17. Kifa, if you would read from verse 17 to the end of 23.
So Moshe and Aaron took these men who had been designated by name, and on the first day of the second month they gathered the whole assembly to state their genealogies by family and clans, and recorded the names of all those 20 years old and over, as well as their total numbers. Moshe counted them in the Sinai desert, just as Adonai had ordered him. The men 20 years old and over, who were subject to military service, were recorded by name, family, and clan, starting with the descendants of Reuben, Israel's firstborn. Here are the totals. Descendants of Reuben, 46,500. Descendants of Shimon, 59,300. Descendants of Gad, 45,650. Descendants of Yehuda, 74,600. Descendants of Issachar, 54,400. Descendants of Zerubbabel, 57,400. Descendants of Ephraim, 40,500. Descendants of Mishnah, Manasseh, 32,200. Descendants of Benjamin, 35,400. Descendants of Dan, 62,700. Descendants of Asher, 41,500. Descendants of Naphtali, 53,400.
Okay.
Moshe.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and read the
Final.
Yeah.
Moshe, Aaron, and the 12 leaders of Israel, each from a clan, counted the people of Israel by their clans, those 20 years old and over, eligible for military service in Israel, and the grand total came to 603,550.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you've got the abbreviated version because we were just flying through those verses. I'm trying to keep up with you. Yeah, on the version, on the scriptures version, it's more wordy. But you got down to the main thing, which was numbering them. So we have 603,550. Those are a lot. And of course, they all have to be 20 years of age and older. These are those who are eligible to take up arms in the event that they have to protect the people and protect their family groups as well. 20 is not the age of maturity. Back then it wasn't. And even now in modern Judaism, or at least in Orthodox Judaism, the age of 30 is the age of maturity where you can go off on your own. You can begin a ministry, and this is as exemplified by Messiah Yeshua. So he was 30 years old when he began his ministry. So he was responsible for himself. Yes, he still had to answer to our Heavenly Father. And so these young men of age 20, they were mature enough to be part of, I guess you would call them, the armed forces of Israel. Um, Even though many young men would marry well before their 20s, um, it's not unusual that at age 16, 17, they would take a wife. But it was 20 where they were considered mature enough to be part of the army. Anything that you want to offer? Okay. All right. So now we're let's see. Yohanan, if you would begin at 47 and go to the end of the chapter.
Okay. But the Levites were not registered among them by their father's tribe, because Yahweh had spoken to Moshe, saying, only the tribe of Levi do you not register, nor do you take a census of them among the children of Israel. Instead, appoint the Levites over the dwelling place of the witness, over all its furnishings, and over all that belongs to it. They bear the dwelling place and all its furnishings, and they attend to it and camp around the dwelling place. And when the dwelling place was to go forward, the Levites took it down. And when the dwelling place is to be set up, the Levites set it up. And the stranger who comes near is put to death. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, everyone by his own camp, everyone by his own banner, according to their divisions. But let the Levites camp around the dwelling place of the wilderness, so that there be no wrath on the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall guard the duty of the dwelling place of the witness. And the children of Israel did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe, so they did.
Okay. So they were off the hook. They did not have to answer the draft.
I wonder why.
Oh, say what?
No, it just makes sense now why I couldn't go into the military.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess that would, yeah. Well, come to think of it, now that I think of it, when I was getting ready to graduate from high school, I had gone to, with intention to sign up for the Navy. And I passed everything but the physical. So I wasn't allowed to
Yeah,
participate either. So that's interesting.
mine was
And
health related as well.
yeah, wow. Wow. Okay, so here the Levites have the Leviim have their special duty, which is uh, they are responsible for the dwelling place of the witness, wherever the Holy of Holies and the surrounding the tabernacle at this time. They were responsible to move it to wherever Yah led the people to be to set up camp. They would move it there, and no one else was responsible for um, the tabernacle in the wilderness. Whenever it moved, it was just the Levites who took care of not only the tabernacle itself, but everything inside, um, including the Ark of the Covenant, that was the tippy top responsibility of the Leviim. Um, and so then it goes on in verse 52, and the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, everyone by his own camp, everyone by his own banner, according to their divisions. And they did have divisions. So you would have the tabernacle in the center, and then the different family groups, the different clans would be assembled around the outside. And I've seen where it says the way that in biblically where it says there to encamp, it's in the form of a cross, which I think is very interesting. You know, Yahweh doesn't do anything random. He always puts symbolism and importance to all these things he wants done. So it seems to me it's like this is a foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the future. So you've got this visual of this huge cross made up of all the peoples of Israel, except for the Leviim, and they are in the center. They are in the temple. They're working there. So, and especially, of course, the high priest. So who was on the center of that execution stake? It was our high priest, Messiah Yeshua. Even though he was not a Levite, he was priest of the order of Melchizedek. And so he is our king, our high priest, and our pure sacrifice. So all wrapped up in one, and right there in the middle. The tabernacle was symbolic of who he is as well. So I think that's so awesome the way Yahweh does things. Any comment? Okay. If you have any comment, just kind of wave your little hand in the air like you just don't care. Okay. So let's go to the next chapter, which is number 2. And okay. All right. I guess the ball's in my court. Excuse me. Wow. I need a little more. It's a little dry in here. Okay. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and Aharon, saying, the children of Israel are to camp, each one by his own banner, beside the sign of his father's house. Let them camp around the tent of meeting at a distance. And on the east side, towards sunrise, those of the banner of the camp of Yehuda camp according to their divisions. And the leader of the children of Yehuda, Nachshon, son of Aminadab, and his army with their registered ones, 74,600. And those camping next to him is the tribe of Issachar, and the leader of the children of Issachar, Netaniel, son of Suar, and his army with its registered ones, 54,400. Okay, so we're going to go through numbers here. Numbers and names. Numbers and names. Okay. And Kifa, if you would begin at 7 and finish at the end of 13.
This group is to, we already read, is to be set out first. Those camping on the south are to be under the banner of the camp of Reuben. They are to camp according to companies.
Okay, wait a
by.
minute. Hold on there.
Whoa!
Yeah. What version are you reading from?
Complete Jewish Bible.
Okay. What does verse 7 say?
Backing up.
I should run and get that our complete Jewish Bible, because I have a feeling the numbers are kind of discombobulated.
Well, you just finished reading the first group.
No, I read a couple of them. I finished reading, let's see, Zvulun. Yeah, and his army. Okay, I finished 8.
Hold on.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hang on. Yehuda, according to his Division 100. Okay, you're at Reuven.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a sentence before Reuven,
Okay.
and that's verse 10. 10 through 16 is the numbers of
Reuben.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I didn't finish off. Okay. I finished that one off. Okay. Then did I read Yehuda? 9. All the registered ones of the camp of Yehuda, according to their divisions, 186,400. These depart first. Okay. All right.
Right.
So now we're at 10. Okay.
Right.
And we were going from 10 to what? 16? End of 16?
Well, it's two groups.
Okay.
It'd be through 20. I can't read the small print.
Okay.
I think it's 25. Anyway, the next two
Whoa.
groups.
Okay, next two groups, 25. All right.
It's
So
10 through I just can't read that number.
okay, read
The
10,
last group is
10 to 16. Read 10 to 16.
okay. 10 to 16
Yeah.
is those camping on the south are to be under the banner of the camp of Reuben. They are to camp according to companies by tribe and leader. They are as follows: Reuben, Elitzur, the son of Shadur, 46,500. Shimon, Shlomel, the son of that long name.
Surah Shaddai.
Yeah, that's not so hard. Sur Shaddai,
Yeah.
59,300. Gad, Elisaph, the son of Ruvel. No V there. Reu, 45,650, with a yielding a total of 151,450. This group is to set out second.
Okay.
Go to the next group.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Put the brakes on here. Okay. So all the registered ones of the camp of Reuven. Okay. So in the tribe of Gad or God, the way you'd pronounce it, and the leader of the children of God, Eliasaph, son of Reuvel. Okay, we have that. Now, now we are reading about in verse 16, the camp of Reuven or Reuven, and they are second to depart. Okay, so continue with the reading of names and numbers. Let's see, Yochanan, if you would go from 17 to the end of 24.
Okay. In the tent of meeting, the camp of the Levites shall move out in the middle of the camps. As they camp, they shall move out, everyone in his place by their banners. On the west side, the banner of the camp of Ephraim, according to their divisions, and the leader of the children of Ephraim, Elishama, son of Amihud, and his army with the registered ones, 40,500. And next to him, the tribe of Manasseh, and the leader of the children of Manasseh, Gamliel, son of Pedatsur, and his army with the registered ones, 32,200. And the tribe of Benjamin, and the leader of the children of Benjamin, Abadam, son of Gidonai, and his army with the registered ones, 35,500. 400. All the registered ones of the camp of Ephraim, according to their divisions, 108,100. And they are the third to depart.
Okay. So we get the idea that there's a lot of men assembled here. Okay, moving on. Verse 25. On the north side, the banner of the camp of Dan, according to their divisions, and the leader of the children of Dan, Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, and his army with their registered ones, 62,700. And those who camped next to him, the tribe of Asher, and the leader of the children of Asher, Pagiel, son of Ochan, and his army with their registered ones, 41,500. And then the tribe of Naphtali, and the leader of the children of Naphtali, Ahira, son of Enan, and his army with their registered ones, 53,400. All the registered ones of the camp of Dan, 157,600. They depart last with their banners. Okay, so I might as well read the rest of it. These are registered ones of the children of Israel by their fathers' houses, all who were registered according to their divisions of the camps, 603,550. But the Levites, the Leviim, were not registered among the children of Israel, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. And the children of Israel did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe. So they camped by their banners, and so they departed, each one by his clan, according to their fathers' houses. So each clan was headed up by the patriarch of that clan, and those patriarchs are they're all the sons of the head of all Israel here. Okay, so Moshe is a Levite, so he doesn't have his own portion around the tabernacle. He's right there smack dab in the middle with his brother Aharon. So all these tribes named after the Jacob's dozen, basically, his sons. And of course, Yosef, he had two sons that kind of split, and so they became their own clans as well. And each carried banners, and of course, each of the banners, if you can imagine, the banners are different colors. You know, you can recognize where you're supposed to go. Oh, I'm supposed to go with a red banner. That's going to be your clan. If you are part of that clan, you recognize that wherever that red banner is, that's where you're supposed to be. Or the green banner, or each clan had their specific colors that coincided with the stones on the choshen, the breastplate of the priest. Each of those stones represented each of the families named after the sons of Jacob. And then here, the tribe of Naphtali, named after Naphtali, one of the sons of Jacob, was headed up by Ahira. Okay, so that was the chief of that, the war chief of that family. And at that time, and of course, they always mention the son of so and so. That's how you were identified. They didn't have last names. Okay, so if we lived back then, Keefa wouldn't be Keefa Smith. He would be Keefa, son of Daniel, which is his father's Hebrew name. So you would go by your father's name. That's, many people would have the same name sometimes. So you would distinguish yourself from the other Keefa or the other Yohanan, by who your father's name was. So,
Simon Bar Jonah.
what's that?
Like Simon Bar Jonah?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And Bar is just the Aramaic version of Ben. They both mean son. you know so yeah, there's no distinction in daughters. It's always so I know. Yeah, so I'm Hadassah, Bat Lior, which is my, Bat Lior Halevi. So and yeah, and if you were a Levite, you always, you know at add Halevi at the end. So
Levite,
okay.
right?
What's that?
Means the Levite, right?
Yep, the Levite. Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. Any other?
Comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as I know, only the Israelites were counted, not the sojourners.
Right. Right. The sojourners were, at that time, they would have been servants or sojourners, but they're not counted as among
The
the
fighters.
descendants. Yeah, because you never know. What if the, you know, the Israelites happen to come up against, let's say a cohort of Egyptians decided to attack, and the sojourners happen to be Egyptians. Who do you fight for?
Right.
So this was to ensure that there would be um no leakers in
Traitors.
the group. That you would be fighting for your people. So yeah, that would be correct.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's very similarity, um, theoretical similarity to what's going on with America and our lack of border control.
Mm,
Um, the If you were a natural born citizen,
yeah.
then theoretically you were brought up in the Judeo-Christian America from birth. Yeah, that's the only lifestyle you should have been aware of, and therefore you would believe in it.
Hmm.
Um, just as the Israelites, you were born an Israelite, no matter what the tribe, and that's the way you would think. That's the only way you know how to live. But a sojourner could have been, uh, all their requirement is that once they come into the camp of Israelites, they now um, follow Yahweh's rules.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're not required to be circumcised, the males. They're just there not to be disruptive from an outwardly point of view, but inwardly, the way they think is they will always remember how they grew up. And so it was kind of interesting I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on that, but sojourners have to be watched. They never know what their true thinking and feelings are.
Yeah, I mean, in America, we've had people, turncoats in the military
Mm.
who've, you know, I mean, when you enter the military, you swear allegiance to this country, the country that you're serving. Uh, but oftentimes people will have that little tug on their heartstrings toward the country of their people's origin. Now, one thing we have to remember, the Israelites had been in they had been wandering around for 40 years. And so those who, it was a mixed multitude who left Egypt. And so those who were brought up in Egyptian ways, or maybe they were Cushites, or other enslaved people, I'm sure some Egyptians left, but probably some enslaved people, of the Egyptians said, I've had enough of Egyptian slavery. I'm going to join the Israelites because their God is setting them free. So after a while, a generation will die out, or maybe there's intermarriage, and the family, will have adopted the religion or the faith of Israel. So, but I see what you're saying. The ones who were like fresh out of Egypt, whether you were in the ruling class or enslaved class, you got to watch them. But I would think after having been, melted into the group, or maybe another generation has passed, you wouldn't have to worry about them too much.
Comment?
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of what you said, except for this very first census is in the second year after they left Egypt. So the people haven't died off yet.
Okay.
So the sojourners would still be amongst them, and people who remember the Egyptian ways are still amongst them. I guess, and somewhere else, we haven't got to I don't remember where it says, but the military age was 20 to 50. And so, there have been countries that when they established the draft, I'm not sure if it's valid in Ukraine right now, that their draftees go all the way up to when they're 50 years of age. So I have escaped the draft.
You're no longer drafty.
No, they don't want me.
Yeah. Well, that would be something to consider, that, the people that are brand new in this, and but at the same time, Yah can take somebody who is lo ami, not his people, and, change their hearts so they become his people. But, I can see where you'd have to be very careful about who you allow to carry arms within the military of this group. So
Know who might be.
Okay, so all of this is taken a census. I mean, there's a lot of other, once you get further on, where the Israelites have gone beyond their 40 years and are about to enter Canaan and take over the promised land in a violent manner.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of military training that folks will have to go through. But at least this is the first step that Yahweh wanted. Let's find out what the population is. And okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And Moshe was a military man too. So, I mean, he was
that's true.
Brought up in the house of Pharaoh. So, men brought up in the house of Pharaoh have to learn that their skills in that way. Yochanan, you were about to say something. Uh-oh. Send up a flare when it comes back to you.
Okay. I don't remember at all.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I have those senior moments myself. Okay. All right, going to chapter number 3. We're just flying at a good clip here. Okay. Let's see. I read the last. So, Kifa, if you would read the first 7 verses.
Chapter 3. These are the descendants of Aaron and Moshe, as of the day when Adonai spoke with Moshe on Mount Sinai. The names of the sons of Aaron are Nadav, the firstborn, Avihu, Eleazar,
Mm-hmm.
and Itamar. These were the names of the sons of Aaron, the Cohen, when he appointed and ordained as Kohanim. But Nadav and Abihu died in the presence of Adonai when they offered unauthorized fire before Adonai in the Sinai desert, and they had no children. Eleazar and Itamar served as Kohanim in the presence of Aaron, their father. Continue.
Yeah, to end of 7.
Adonai said to Moshe, "Summon the tribe of Levi and assign them to Aaron the Cohen, so that they can help him. They are to carry out his duties and the duties of the whole community before the tent of meeting in performing the service of the tabernacle.
Okay.
They
Okay. End of 7.
okay.
Okay.
I can't read it. I can't read the numbers. They're way too small
Okay.
for me.
You gotta let's see, you've got to go to Dollar Tree and get some cheaters.
Yeah, or bring home the large print Bible.
Yeah, that'll help. Okay. All right. So they're speaking of the generations of Aharon and Moshe. And they're mentioning the names of the 4 sons of Aharon. And we know from previous reading that Nadav and Abihu had died because they brought strange fire before Yahweh. And so they're no longer, but Aharon had 2 more sons. So it fell upon their shoulders to help him, to assist him as priests, as Kohanim. Okay. And then Yahweh had asked Moshe to bring the tribe of Levi near and set them before Aharon the priest. And so they're being commissioned. They're being commissioned. This is, these are your duties. You are to guard, you and protect everything having to do with the tent of meeting, and to do the service of the dwelling place. So they got their marching orders there. Okay. And hopefully they learned by watching the former sons of Aharon into what not to do. Do not go to serve Yahweh in an altered state of mind. No drinking strong drink before you serve. Okay. All right. Yochanan, if you would read from 8 to the end of 13.
Okay. And they shall guard all the furnishings of the tent of meeting and the duty of the children of Israel to do the service of the dwelling place. And you shall give the Leviim to Aharon and his sons. They are the given ones, given to them from among the children of Israel. And appoint Aharon and his sons, and they shall guard their priesthood, and the stranger who comes near shall be put to death. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Now look, I myself have taken the Leviim from among the children of Israel, instead of every firstborn who opens the womb among the children of Israel. And the Leviim shall be mine. Because all the firstborn are mine, On the day that I struck all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, I set apart to myself all the firstborn in Israel, to both man and beast. They are mine. I am Yahweh.
Okay, so like it says here, Yahweh had killed the firstborn of Egypt. And so he's setting apart the firstborn of Israel for himself, and they are redeemed by the Leviim. So otherwise you'd have way too many people in the tent of meeting, and it's the Leviim that were charged with those duties. They were set apart to do that. Okay, so any comment? Okay, so the firstborn are set apart for Yahweh. They unless of course they've been redeemed with the appropriate amount of silver, and then they're off the hook. They would not have to serve. And let's see, I know I'm a firstborn, and Keith is a firstborn. Yochanan, are you a firstborn?
No.
Okay, but you're a firstborn male.
Yes.
Okay, you're in.
Week 5.
You're in the club. Okay. All right. So even though you were not the first to open the womb, you are the firstborn male. So that's got to count for something. All right. And
Comment?
yeah.
Okay, so we know so far that the Leviim are going to be, where are they going to be living? Closest to the temple, the tabernacle.
Right.
They're going to be surrounding the outer edge of it. So in a way, that's a prestigious acknowledgement that they're going to be closer to God than all you guys out yonder. So
that's one way of
to be the firstborn of your family, and to be selected by Yahweh, who everybody at this point is a personal witness of fire by night, smoke by day, shake the mountain.
Yeah.
And we're not going anywhere without Yahweh. I mean, there's no nobody that doesn't believe in Yahweh. I don't know. You'd have to be all your senses blind, no hearing, So anyway, this is a prestigious acknowledgement of importance, that you are the firstborn, and Yahweh has chosen me, even though there's 5,000 others that are also, but it's better than it's higher up on the prestige ladder than the 2 million other people that are in the Israelite camp. So I would think to be named as firstborn, kind of automatically. It would be a prestigious thing. I think it's prestigious being firstborn in my family.
But membership has its privileges. However, there's more responsibility.
Much is given, much is required.
Exactly. I think about the mother who brings her 2 sons to Yeshua and says, please, could you put one of my sons on your right hand and one on your left? And Yeshua's like, lady, you don't know what you're asking. Because remember, when he was put up on the execution stake, there was one on his right and one on his left. Were they willing to endure what the privilege, was attached to? So, yeah, I mean, being the eldest in my family, yeah, I always, got some, I guess, preferential designation, you know, La Primera, the first one, La Reina, the queen, well, that prestige is oftentimes in name only because, just for myself, I changed probably as many diapers as my mom did. So,
Probably more, right?
yeah, and more, and, babysitting and, helping along, helping out with the family. So, as the oldest, you do have extra responsibility. Um, however your family structure works. So, yeah, I mean, you're living close, as a Levite, you're living close to the tabernacle, but that is basically the first line of defense because you are charged with guarding
Mm-hmm.
the Holy of Holies, whether you're right in there or in the, perimeter of the holy place. You are charged with guarding it. So you're the first line of defense. If anybody tries to come in and disrupt or destroy, you have to be willing to lay down your life to protect the holy place, protect those, the presence, the area where his presence is.
So if you study on the Levites, the Leviim,
Mhm.
all the way back to Levi, they were pretty violent men.
Oh, yeah.
They, they slaughtered 3,000 of their own
Mhm.
because of the golden calf.
Yep.
So they weren't anything to mess with.
No, no. I think of how many military are in my family. It's like, yeah, I guess we are kind of that way. And we're kind of bent that way. But yeah, yeah. So okay. So let's see. Yohanan, were you the last reader there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we're at verse 14.
Yep.
Okay. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, register the children of Levi by their fathers' houses, by their clans. Register every male from a month old and above. So Moshe registered them according to the word of Yahweh, as he had been commanded. And these were the sons of Levi by their names: Gershon and Kehath and Merari. And these are the names of the sons of Gershon by their clans: Libni, Shimi. And the sons of Kehath by their clans: Amram and Yitzhar, Hebron and Uziel. And the sons of Merari by their clans: Mahli and Mushi. These are the clans of the Levites by their fathers' houses. Okay, so more names. All right. So now, Kifa, if you would read 21 to the end of 27.
Gershon fathered the clans of Livni and Shimi. These were the Gershon clans. Of them, 7,500 males a month old and over were counted. The Gershon clans were to camp behind the tabernacle toward the west. The chief of the Gershon clan was Eliasaph, the son of Lael. In connection with the tent of meeting, the descendants of Gershon were to be in charge of the following the tabernacle itself, its inner and outer coverings, the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the curtains surrounding the courtyard, the screen for the entrance of the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle, and the altar, all the fixtures and ropes for these items, and their maintenance. I think that's through 26.
27.
Kahat fathered the clans of Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uziel. These were the Kahat clans. Of them, 8,600 males a month old and over were counted. They were in charge of the holy place.
Okay. All right. So we have more names and numbers. And I love some of these names. I mean, when you know what they mean, it's pretty cool. Uziel, God is my power. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so we got to the end of 28. All right. More names, more numbers. Yohanan, if you could read from 29 to the end of 35.
Okay. The clans of the children of Kehat were to camp on the south side of the dwelling place, and the leader of the father's house of the clans of the Kehatites was Elitzaphan, son of Uziel, and their duty was the ark and the table and the lampstand and the altars and the utensils of the set-apart place used in the service and the covering and all its service. And Eleazar, son of Aharon the priest, was to be chief over the leaders of the Leviim, with oversight of those who guard the duty of the set-apart place. From Merari came the clan of the Mahlites and the clan of the Mushites. These were the clans of Merari. And the number of the registered ones, all of the males from a month old and above, were 6,200. And the leader of the father's house of the clans of Merari, to Shuriel, son of Avihail, these were to camp on the north side of the dwelling place.
Okay, so more interesting names. And you notice in all this reading in this chapter, in the chapters before, they're naming the chiefs. Okay, they named the names of the clans, which reflected the names of the sons of Jacob. Then they named the leaders of those clans at that time. And then now they're saying this is what they're responsible for. Okay, we get to the Leviim and their sons, what they're responsible for. So, delegating responsibility is a Yah thing, it's interesting. I won't go into it, but I was just speaking with someone earlier before we began the study here about how important it is to delegate to different people to have what they're responsible for, and especially with regards to the holy place and serving Yahweh, and it shouldn't all fall to one person. Not only is that it's hard on that one person or two people, a handful of people, to do everything, it wears you out. It wears you out. And when you want to be fresh and alert to hear from Yah, and if you're consumed with operations, you don't have the clarity of hearing his voice, which is very important. And plus, delegation gives more not only gives responsibility to more people, but it gives people a sense of, this is mine, this is my congregation, my assembly, my tabernacle, if you will. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to delegate responsibilities. Okay.
Gives them a sense of purpose.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know sometimes it's difficult, I know for myself, it's important to me for things to be done and to be done right, not haphazardly, but to be done with purpose and with, um, kavanah, that holy purpose.
Reverence.
Yeah, yeah, and, you know, I know sometimes it's hard for me to say, "Okay, you do this," and not worry. That's just my nature, are they really gonna do what they said they're gonna do? You know? Um, but at, some point, you have to kind of, okay, give them the responsibility, and they may not do it exactly the way you do it, but at least they're doing it and they're learning how to do it, and they get better and better at it. So um that I know that's been a big lesson for me, not just as a congregational leader, but as a mom. Okay, tie your shoe. You're not tying it the way I would, but you know you know,
Yeah.
you know, okay, make dinner. You're not making it the way I would, but
I know.
you're making it. So, yeah, I think that's something we all can learn, no matter what we're in charge of normally.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're at verse 36. What do we have? Oh, we're going into the 50s there. Okay. So 36. Let's see. Yochanan, you're the next reader?
No,
Or
I
who
just,
is you just read?
or I can read again. It doesn't matter.
Oh. No. Oh, okay. All right. I know you're eager to read. Um, okay. I'll read. I'll read for a few. Okay. At verse 36, and the appointed duty of the children of Merari was the boards of the dwelling place, and its bars, and its columns, and its sockets, and its utensils, and all its service, and the columns of the courtyard all around with their sockets, and their pegs, and their cords. And those who were to camp before the dwelling place on the east, before the tent of meeting, were Moshe and Aharon and his sons, guarding the duty of the set apart place and the duty of the children of Israel. But the stranger who came near was put to death. All the registered ones of the Leviim, whom Moshe and Aharon registered at the command of Yahweh by their clans, all the males from a month old and above were 22,000. And Yahweh said to Moshe, register all the firstborn males of the children of Israel from a month old and above, and take the number of their names. Okay, so another thing kind of came to mind. This is and I can't help myself. I keep thinking of, in the military, everybody's got their MOS, their specialty, what they're responsible for. Some may their MOS may be they're a paratrooper, they're a tanker, they're in infantry, they're communications, and all these different things. If you left it up to the leaders to handle all those, nothing would get done. So you designate different people's, their specialties, and they're trained in those areas to do the best possible work in those areas, so that the whole, so the whole of the army moves in sync and smoothly. That would be the best case scenario. It doesn't always happen that way. Oftentimes it's snafu, but we hope for the best. We at least try and train people to do that. And then of course it says Yahweh tells Moshe to register all the firstborn males of the children of Israel from a month old and above, and take the number of their names. So if they are, if everyone's registered, if all the males are registered from a month old and above, they've got their names. They know who's getting to, eventually will be getting to the age of a certain level of maturity where they could handle certain things. So just like when you raise children, you give them jobs that is a job that's appropriate for their age and for their maturity. And then as they gain, experience and maturity, and as they get older, you give them more difficult things. So they're keeping track even from a month old. Why a month old? In that society, many children did not survive. Having a baby in the wilderness is a lot more dangerous and a lot more difficult than, we have hospitals here, or, for those who give birth in their homes, you have midwives that come and help. But here they are out in the desert, and so they register from a month old, because generally if you make it to a month, chances are you're going to make it, longer than that. Okay. Any comment? Okay. All right. So, all right, Kifa, if you would read from 41. Why don't you read 41 to the end of the chapter?
Verse 41.
Mhm.
Then you are to take that Leviim for me, Adonai, in place of all the firstborn among the people of Israel, and the cattle of the Leviim, in place of the firstborn of the cattle belonging to the people of Israel. Moshe counted as Adonai had ordered him. All the firstborn among the people of Israel, the total number of firstborn males registered, a month old and over, of those who were counted was 22,273. How far?
The end.
I'm okay. Adonai said to Moshe, take the Leviim in place of all the firstborn among the people of Israel, and the cattle of the Leviim in place of their cattle. The Leviim are to belong to me, Adonai. Since there were 273 more firstborn males from Israel than male Leviim, in order to redeem them, you are to take 5 shekels, 2 ounces. For each of these, use the sanctuary shekel, which is equal to 20 gerahs. Gerahs.
Mhm.
Is that about the way you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Gerah?
Yeah, Gera. Mhm.
Give the redemption money for those extra people to Aaron and his sons. Moshe took the redemption money from those who were over and above those redeemed by Leviim. The amount of money he took from the firstborn of the people of Israel was 1,365 shekels, using the sanctuary shekel. Moshe gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, in keeping with what Adonai had said, as Adonai had ordered Moshe.
Okay. All right. So now we are to the point where the firstborn are being redeemed with 5 shekels. And as I've mentioned in the past, a shekel, many people will think, oh, a shekel, it's a unit of money, like we have pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, etc. But it's not. It's not what they're worth. It's what they weigh. And we know, like in precious metals, if anyone out there um, invests in precious metals, you know that the price of silver, the price of gold is going to fluctuate. So it'll change. One day it'll be a certain amount, it'll be worth a certain amount. Another day it'll be worth another amount. And so rather than worry about what they're worth, we are concerned more what they weigh. And this is compared to the shekel of the holy place, the tabernacle shekel, and later it's the temple shekel. This is so that the shekel, the weight of the shekel, is consistent, that it won't be different. Different. Uh, you know, Different ways of measuring. You would cast a shekel, a piece, like a coin, um, in one mold. It may weigh differently than in another mold, just depending on how that mold is made, whether that silver is poured in at a certain temperature. You're not going to fill the mold as well if that molten silver is not hot enough, if it's not molten enough, if it's, starting to solidify, it's not going to fill the mold. And so there's going to be a difference in the weight. So they try to have everything standardized. It's the temple shekel or the tabernacle shekel. And Yah is all about being consistent. Okay. I'm going to hunt down my 5 shekel piece. I've got one. So that we can all kind of take a look at it, see what a shekel looks like. It's a modern shekel. It's not an old silver piece, but anyway, it'll be interesting. Okay, any comments? Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next chapter, the next and final chapter. And this chapter, we're only going to read up to verse 20. So, okay. And I think it's Aharon, it's your turn, I believe. Okay. So if you would read from verse 1 to the end of 7.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and said, I'll start over. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying, take a census of the sons of Kehat from among the children of Levi by their clans, by their father's house, from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who enter the service to do the work of the tent of meeting. This was the service of the sons of Kohath in the tent of meeting, the most set apart matters. At the breaking of camp, Aharon and his sons shall come, and they shall take down the covering veil and cover the ark of the witness with it. And they shall put on it a covering of fine leather, and spread it over the all blue wrapper, and shall insert its poles. And on the table of showbread they shall spread a blue wrapper, and shall put on it the dishes, and the ladles, and the bowls, and the jars for pouring, and the showbread on it.
Okay. So they're getting ready to break camp. And, because presumably the cloud has moved, either the cloud of the pillar of flame or the pillar of cloud has moved. And so that's the signal where everyone's going to break camp and they're going to go. And they have Aharon and his sons. They are responsible for the Ark of the Covenant. So they take down the covering veil that separates the Holy of Holies from the rest of the holy place. And they must layer it on there because that's pretty big. And the cover of the Ark of the Witness. And they put leather over that. And leather is a lot more protective than fabric. And then an all blue wrapper. And
Now the covering veil, that was pretty thick, right?
yeah, maybe it isn't the separation veil. It must be
Okay, I'm
a
thinking
separate veil. It's got to be a separate veil because
that's
I'm
like
thinking that was huge and it was thick.
weight on the
Yeah, it would be pretty heavy. But I'm wondering, I know that in the temple, when the temple was built by Shlomo, that they must have had, I mean, this is hundreds of years later, they must have had to replace it. And I know the one in the temple was probably about like 6 inches thick or more. I mean, that's pretty heavy duty. So maybe it was a lighter, thinner veil. I mean, the fact that they're calling it a veil instead of a curtain may indicate that it might be. I have to do some more. I have to crack open the book and do some more reading. But they took care of covering it, protecting it, and treating it with reverence, because this was the Ark of the Presence. His presence would settle over the mercy seat. And then,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I was just going to say the age limit that the Levi'im could serve would make sense because the older they got, with the amount of physical exertion that they would have to do, because I mean the sacrifices, you didn't see in replicas, you didn't see any lifting mechanisms really to lift the carcasses and whatnot, and then just hauling all the weight all the time.
Oh yeah,
the tabernacle. And they had to be physically fit.
Yeah. Those priests must have been rippling. They were rippling. Wow. Yeah, because I mean, they're sacrificing bulls. I mean, those bulls are pretty substantial, and just being able to, you slaughter the bull, you kill it, then you got to get its carcass on the altar.
Yeah.
So, wow.
I mean, if you think about what was it, from 30 to 50?
Yeah.
That all the slaughtering, that has to take a toll on your mind.
That too.
All the death and the blood that had to have affected their minds to some extent.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you don't want to, because of advanced age, start forgetting how things are supposed to be done.
Right. I'm about that. I'm about 50, so I'm starting to forget things.
Yeah, well, we're both ahead of you there. And that's why we need to delegate. Get the younger folks doing stuff, So that's good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then it goes on. It speaks of the table of showbread, and they cover that also. And these furnishings, they're all covered in hammered gold. So, gold is very soft, malleable metal. So you don't want to scratch up these sacred objects and pieces of furniture. So you want to wrap them up and keep them looking good. Okay. So, all right. So starting with 8, I guess that's me. Okay. Whoops. Come here. All right. Because I forgot you just read, right, Yochanan?
Correct.
Okay. See? Yep. It's time to hang it up. Oh, and I keep thinking of Hannah in the temple, Yeah. It's okay if you see me mumbling to myself walking around the sanctuary, don't worry.
You're
It's
not drunk. You're just
right. Okay, starting in verse 8. And they shall spread over them a scarlet wrapper, and cover the same with a covering of fine leather, and shall insert its poles, and shall take a blue wrapper and cover the lampstand of the light with its lamps and its snuffers and its trays and all its oil vessels by which they serve it. And they shall put it with all its utensils in a covering of fine leather, and put it on a bar. And over the golden altar they shall spread a blue wrapper and cover it with a covering of fine leather, and shall insert its poles, and shall take all the utensils of service with which they serve in the set apart place, and shall put them in a blue wrapper, cover them with a covering of fine leather, and put them on a bar, and shall remove the ashes from the altar, and spread a purple wrapper over it, and shall put on it all its utensils by which they serve there, the fire holders, the forks, and the shovels, and the basins, and all the utensils of the altar, and shall spread on it a covering of fine leather, and insert its poles. Okay, so they're taking care to make sure that the rest of these objects are protected. And of course, they're using poles to lift and to carry these items. So they were not originally intended to be thrown on a cart. Okay, that kind of happens later, but they were to be carried by priests. Okay, all right. And Kifa, your turn. And if you would read from 15 to the end of 20. 15 to the end of 20.
Eleazar, the son of Aaron.
Whoop, 15. 15.
Where did I start?
16.
15 starts when Aaron and his sons have finished covering the holy furnishings and all the holy utensils. When the camp is about to move forward, then the descendants of Kahat are to come and carry them, but they are not to touch the holy things, so that they won't die. These things are the responsibility of the descendants of Kahat in the tent of meeting. Eleazar, the son of Aaron and the Cohen, is to be responsible for the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the continuing grain offering, and the anointing oil. He is to be in charge of the entire tabernacle and everything in it, including the sanctuary and its furnishings. Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, "Do not cut off the clan of Kahat from among the Leviim. Rather, do this for them, so that they will live and not die when they approach the especially holy things. Aaron and his sons are to go in, and you are to assign each one his task. But the descendants of Kahat are not to go in and look at the holy things as they are being covered. If
Okay.
they do, they will die."
Okay. All right. So, in other words, the Aaron and his sons, being high priests, they are to make sure that things are covered before the clans of or the sons of Kehat are to lift the items and move them. They cannot see the items before they're covered, and that's why there was a veil, in before the holy of holies, so that nobody would see the innermost holy things. Um, you kind of you got to think that the sons of Kehat must have been very, very burly to carry. They are doing the carrying, and it's up to Aharon and his sons to, just, oversee, oversee the covering and the protection of these holy items. You don't want the sons of Kahat to die, so you want to make sure they're all covered before they come in to move. The movers. I think of the movers. The college age guys that come in and they move your furniture, and they're pretty strong. They carry some pretty heavy stuff. Yeah, we saw somebody pick up a refrigerator. It was like, I wouldn't want to do that. Leave it to the professionals.
They'll be reminded of that when they're about 50, 55. Of what they
Yeah. Yeah, well, as you well know, I mean, having worked with horses and stuff, you got to really be in good shape, because you could really seriously hurt yourself. I mean, and these weren't, horses don't just sit there and let you move them around.
Right. They fight back.
Yeah, they do. Fight back and bite back. Yeah. Yeah. So, this really shows how orderly our Creator is, and how important it is to delegate. Certain people are going to have gifting in certain areas. So, no doubt, Yahweh chose the Kehati, the sons of Kehat, to do all the heavy lifting because he blessed them with the ability to do that, with the strength to be able to do that. And the Moshe and Aaron and their sons, they were probably blessed with attention to detail because they had to oversee all those, make sure this is covered, make sure that covered is tied up well enough that it won't fall off, and expose the holy object to not only damage but to prying eyes, eyes that are not to be looking at that. So it does take a good amount of attention to detail. So any other last observations?
No, I can't think of anything right at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know we read a lot of names and a lot of numbers and a lot of details. And I know oftentimes people, when they're reading through the Bible, are they really reading through the Bible or are they skipping all those details? Some may think, oh, these details are just, names, numbers, we don't really need to know them. But if it was important for Yahweh to designate who's going to do what their duties are, and mention them by name, and mention their numbers by the exact numbers, it's important to him, so it should be important to us. There's, and we haven't gone into this part of it, but there is meaning to each one of those names. There's significance to their names, and also, to Yah's, in his mind, numbers are important. That's why we see certain numbers being repeated in scripture. There are so many sevens, there are so many 10s and 12s and 3s. These have meaning. They're important to Yah, so they should be important to us. So it's a blessing to read even these details. So I hope everyone was blessed.
Yes.
It was certainly a blessing for myself, and I think all who were doing the actual speaking of his words. So we're going to have more speaking of his words, and I'm hoping people will come and hear the teaching and the reading of portion for this week at our service. We meet every Sabbath at 1 p.m. Neve Shalom, which means oasis of peace, is what we try to be. We try to be an oasis away from the dryness of not being in tune to his word. We want to be oasis of not only his word, but his spirit. And we want to be, of course, a place of peace for people to come and just take the peace that is found in his presence. And so I want to invite all those who are able, who are close by, come, and we'd love to see your bright, shiny faces this Sabbath. And if you're not able to be here with us in person, please watch us online. We broadcast every service. We try to. We're still working on the quality of the sound. I know it's been kind of frustrating for some, but just bear with us. We're getting better, and pray that we will be able to improve the broadcast so people really can truly enter in and worship. So anyway, that's our service, 1 p.m. every Sabbath on our YouTube channel. Okay, well, I want to thank Brother Kifa and Brother Yochanan for joining me here. And I pray that all who have joined in and read along with us, I pray that you were also blessed. And will join us again next Thursday evening at 6:30 Central Time. And so until then, I want to wish you all shalom, shalom.
Shalom.